your 6s and 8s in bands. So that's the flexibility there between the two sides. It's typically allowing you to do it in different suits, either in all one suit or in multiple suits. So make sure you're looking all on this card. You'll see lots of examples where it's played either in all one suit or in multiple suits. And you want to make sure that you're looking at that because that opens up additional ways to play the hand. Okay.
So in case you didn't notice, my two favorite things right now are sewing, or should I say learning how to sew, and learning how to play mahjong. So in the first part of the video, you will hear the Southern Sparrow mahjong tutorial playing in the background. So yeah, that's what I've been doing. I've been finding patterns that I think that are beginner friendly and easy enough for me to start with. I picked up this one from the Misfit Prairie on YouTube, and she also sells the pattern. So I ordered that, and this is called the Quilt Coat. And I went to the Goodwill Bins and I picked up a quilt. I believe it's the the Pioneer Woman. Yes, it's the Pioneer Woman. And at the bins that particular day, I don't know if it's all the time because it was my first time going to the bins, but they were selling the quilts for $3.19. So I was able to pick up this quilt, and I think I'll be able to make more than one out of it because it looks like about a queen size. So yeah, so I just took it home. I gave it a wash in hot water and dried it and put the pattern on. And I like to cut my patterns from parchment paper just so that I could reuse them in different sizes. So this one's going to be a large, and here I am assembling the shoulders, which is the first thing that you're going to assemble after you cut the pattern out. You're going to assemble the shoulders first, and then you are going to after you sew the straight stitch, you flip it over and you're going to do a top stitch on the top. And the reason that she has us do this is because the shoulders carry most of the weight of the quilt. So you'll see I did a straight stitch on the bottom, and then on the top I'm going to go over it with a top stitch. And I decided, since you were going to see that, I would use red thread since there's so much red in this quilt. I thought it would be really fun to do a red stitch. So that's what I did. So far, this pattern has been fairly easy. I'm liking it so far. I'm not feeling overwhelmed or stressed because, like I said, I am a very beginner sewer. This is only the second time I have cut this pattern out, and the first one turned out okay, but not great. So she has a really nice trick when you're going to do the sleeves. If you can see, I put the sleeves right sides together and I line them up, then I flip over the sleeve part. See, they're right, I line up the armpits, can you see that? And then I flip it over, watch, there I go. I flip it over and I line up the armpits, and I just follow exactly what she said to do, and it lines up beautifully. So I'm not that talented, I'm not that special, and like I said again, I'm a beginner. So you line up those armpits, put in a pin, and then keep following along. Now the only thing at this time that is sewn are the shoulders, remember that. So you just keep following along that sleeve and you keep pinning it all the way around the entire circle of the arm. And you just keep going, and that's going to get your sleeve on. So here we go. Okay, so I flip it over because I just want to make sure that I'm doing it correctly, and yeah, it looks good. It looks like I have a sleeve. So then I put it in my machine and I straight stitch all around where I had pinned those pins all around the arm. And I just go really slow because it's a quilt, it's thick, it's a little cumbersome, and I just want to make sure that I'm going through all the layers of the sleeve and the bottom part of the quilt. And then I just kept adjusting underneath because it gets very bulky, and I just keep straightening it out. I'm going, taking my time, going slowly, and I just keep adjusting that sleeve underneath and making sure I have both. Okay, so here it is. That's one whole sleeve put on, and it's starting to look like something. So the shoulder's attached, the sleeve is attached, and I'm getting really excited. On the next step, this is where the magic really happens, because it will start to look like a jacket. So here I'm showing you the inside, and I got a little cattywonk, a little crooked, but I will use the serger and that will take all of that extra fabric off. If you can be a little neater and sew a little straighter than I can, then you won't have so much excess left over, but I'm not that talented yet. So I had a lot of excess, but like I said, the serger will take care of that, so it's not a big deal. So the next step is where the magic happens. You'll take both sides of the jacket along one side, so basically like from your arm to your hip, that entire side, and pin it together. And then you will start and you're going to pin it together with the right sides in. So you're going to have the outside facing up, and then you're just going to straight stitch. And I always start with the back stitch because that's the way she does it on her video when she's teaching you. And I just sew a straight stitch all the way up one side, and then it really starts to look like a jacket, and that's where I get really excited. So you're going to do that to both sides. You're going to do one side first and then the second side, and I'll speed it up a little here because I'm really slow. Okay, so that's it. I finished stitching it. Turn it right side out so I can see my work, and it's looking good. See, I got one whole side sewn up. Now for the collar. So what you do is you pin your collar right sides together, and you're just gonna sew a straight stitch all along the three sides, so the two ends and the top side. The bottom half you leave open, and then you just turn it right sides out, and you're just gonna push out those corners. And I did take an iron to it and pressed them down. Then you're going to stick the edge of the top part of the jacket, one corner of the jacket, into the collar, and you are going to sew one side of the collar to the jacket, and you are going to sew the back side first, because no one's going to see that. The collar's going to flip back. So you take that corner of the jacket on the back side, which is, your back, and you're going to sew the collar after you've already pressed it with an iron, and you're going to sew the collar onto the neck. And that's what you see me doing here. And I took it real slow because I just have to hold it in place, and there's really nowhere to, I mean, you can pin it, I guess, but I just kind of held them together and just went slow all around the back. And when you get to the very end, the end of the collar should be the end of the jacket. Now, if you're for some reason not lining up perfect, you need to just fit it in there, because there will be nowhere for it to go after. So you need to fit it inside that little pocket. And then you are going to, so you can see I did that back side first. Then you're going to take the top part of the collar and you're going to sew that to the inside of the jacket. So you can see me doing that here. Now this part you want to try to be as neat as possible, because you will see that when you take the jacket off, you'll see the inside of that jacket. Now that corner was really, really thick and bulky for me, so I did end up having to do just a little stitch by hand in that corner because I didn't want to break my needle. But I finally get it in there and just kind of go past that little chunky part, and I was able to sew it. So, and like I said, at the very end, I just did a little stitch by hand in that corner. So once I get it in there, then I sew the inside of the collar to the inside of the jacket. And that's what I'm doing here. And I'm trying to be, like I said, as neat as possible. And I just keep adjusting the jacket so it feels comfortable to me. And you'll have to make a lot of adjustments when you're working on curves. I find that totally necessary, because as it's curving around the neck, you know, you're sewing straight, so you gotta just have to adjust your fabric. Okay, so next up was the pockets. I cut out 2 pockets according to the pattern, and then I pressed them with an iron. All of the corners, all 4 sides, I pressed it down. And then it doesn't call for this, but I went ahead and did a straight stitch from the inside just because the quilt was so bulky. I didn't think that I could hold it down, so I do have a little stitch, and I think it looks totally fine. It's such a busy pattern. I used red thread, so it complemented. Then I laid it on top of the jacket, and I did lay it down flat and measure and pin so that the pockets were even on both sides. And then I just did a top stitch all the way around 3 sides, because obviously you don't want to do the top, it's a pocket, and it came out really cute. And here she is, all done. There's the collar, the pockets, the sleeves. So cute. I'm so happy with the way this came out. I'm so happy with the pattern. I just think that the misfit prairie did a great job. It's easy to follow, very first time sewer, beginner friendly, and I really enjoyed it, and I think I'm going to make more. So if you like upcycling, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button. Thanks for watching.